More than 1,000 migrants entered the UK on Shabana Mahmood's first day as Home Secretary. It's her job to end this crisis, by the way. And since the refugees welcome here, former Home Secretary Yvette Cooper got sacked from her job after overseeing the biggest influx of illegal migrants on record. It's not looking good, is it? Well, meanwhile, the online left was celebrating a few days of no arrivals like it was the government's success. Well, we all know, don't we? It was simply down to bad weather. How embarrassing for all of them online, eh? Well, Labour's big plan is to shove migrants now into disused military bases like Napier Barracks and Wethersfield. Does that sound a little bit familiar to you all at home? Well, it should. Because in 2023, Yvette Cooper, the then Shadow Home Secretary, slammed the Tories' use of these sites as an admission of failure. So why is Labour now copying the same, as they called, failed playbook? Hypocrisy doesn't even begin to cover it. Now, let's get real. This isn't a solution. It's a shuffling of the deck, isn't it? Crossings are up 44.5% from last year. That's 9,600 plus in 2025 alone. A record high, costing this country and you, the taxpayers, at least $4.2 billion a year. Where's Keir Starmer's Border Security Command? Barely started. He's promised to stop migration at the source. But the Home Office admits 65,700 asylum seekers are housed here. Another record, a 10-year high. Well, as you all probably know, hotels cost £145 a night each for illegal migrants. All while homeless veterans are sleeping rough on our streets. Labour is still offering landlords a 5-year rent deal for illegal migrants, while British families struggle to even pay their bills. Tory Shadow Home Secretary Chris Philp has, in my opinion, nailed it. He said Labour's giving a better deal to illegal immigrants than tax-paying Brits. Well, how long is it until Keir Starmer is forced to accept the sane conclusion that everyone else in Britain has already arrived at? Only mass deportations will solve this crisis, as you all know at home.
Hello, I'm Bev Turner. Now, it can feel like the money in our bank accounts at the moment does not keep up with the cost of living, and maybe there's a solution. I'm here today with the CEO of TallyMoney, Cameron Parry. Cameron, what is TallyMoney?
Well, Bev, with TallyMoney, you get a current account and a debit card, but instead of pounds, you use milligrams of gold as your everyday money.
So why gold?
Gold traditionally is a great store of value. It has, on average, gone up at over 11% per annum for the last 25 years against the pound. It's tripled in value in the last decade. And in the last 2 years alone, it's increased by 50% against the pound. Banks' savings products just can't compete with that level of growth.
But this isn't just about gold. This is about a currency that you guys have created at TallyMoney. Explain it to me as though I'm an idiot.
So, look, people need to be able to hold their earnings and build their savings in a money that retains its value and remains in their legal control and remains theirs to access, away from government control.
Great. You had me at not exposed to government control.
You should feel safe and happy with your money. You should have peace of mind. The more money you see in your bank balance, and that's the type of thing we're trying to deliver, and give people choice in the type of money they get to use every day.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Cameron. Thank you.
Well, let's get the thoughts of my slightly slimmed down panel, actually, tonight. Businessman and political activist Adam Brooks is here, everybody. We love Adam. Thanks for coming in tonight, short notice. Appreciate that. Political commentator Chloe Dobbs. And I do have an empty chair, unfortunately, because, as you know, there's industrial action taking place. And Andy Williams, who's going to be here at some point, hasn't quite made it in. I wonder if he's going to defend the unions when he comes in on this one. I wonder if he's going to defend them. That'll be an interesting one, won't it? So in the meantime, if there's a little bit of balance, because we have to be balanced, you know the rules, I'll be imitating Andy Williams. So how about that, eh? That'll be an interesting one for you all to watch at home. Anyway, let's get stuck into it. Adam, I'd love to start with you. What do you make of this? Because yesterday we had Reform Party conference. 2 days, I think it's their first ever 2-day long. I think they finished them a little bit early before. And it seemed to me, the minute after that conference had finished, Keir Starmer was playing his little flute going, oh, do you know what? We've done this one-in, one-out deal with Germany. We're going to put migrants in camps. What do you think's happening?
I think anyone that believes Keir Starmer is going to get tough on illegal immigration needs to go and see a doctor, because it's not going to happen. He's a human rights lawyer. He's not going to go hard on illegal immigrants. At the end of the day, we shouldn't have any of these here. I'm not going to apologise. I don't want any of these people here. I want to look after our own. And I think the majority of the country feel the same way as me. At the end of the day, we're trying to shut down the hotels. I've just come from the Bell Hotel, 500 people. But what's going to happen here, if they do try and move them to military bases, they're going to let them roam the streets. They're going to bust them into towns. That's the problem. We have unchecked, unverified men from far different cultures from our own, amongst our women and our children. So, no, it's not going to solve anything. Yes, I do want them out of the hotels. I don't want them in HMOs either. But if they put them in the military bases, they must not be allowed to leave. I want armed guards, because we know there's dangerous people amongst them. And if only 10% are dangerous, we've got a serious problem in our communities.
Oh, I completely agree, Adam. But the government would say this. I'm being Andy Williams here, just in case any of you at home think this is just me saying this. It's not. But Andy Williams or others on the left would say this, Chloe. Well, they promised in their manifesto they would close the hotels. The Prime Minister's now going to deliver that pledge, and we should all really be celebrating it, because at the end of the day, we think the hotels are bad. They're in our communities, at least on military bases. People should be safer. People should be safer, and actually people like yourselves and maybe Alex Armstrong would say, actually, we just want mass deportations. But at the end of the day, we're a kind country. We've got good values. We look after people that come here, Chloe.
So first of all, I would say we are a very kind country. As a country, we have done so much to help people. We've brought so many people into this country. We've done so many great things, like bringing people over here from Ukraine. But there comes a limit when our own country is just going down the drain, because we've been a bit too welcome, to be honest. And as you say, we've got veterans and other people sleeping on the streets whilst we're putting people up in fancy hotels. Now, to your point about they're going to meet their manifesto pledge, they might meet it. I doubt it. I'll believe it when I see it. But if they meet it, it's not going to be achieving anything meaningful, as Adam has pointed out, because you're just shuffling people around. If they don't have the tenacity to stop the migrants from coming in the first place and stop the huge flow of people coming in, it's just hopeless. I would rather they be in military barracks than fancy hotels, because I think the public are getting really fed up of seeing people being treated so much better than them and having a fancy stay here. But for me, what's crucial as a short-term crisis solution is that whether they're in hotels or military barracks, they are not allowed to leave. They're not allowed to leave the hotel. I don't think that's cruel. I mean, you go to...
It is cruel, Chloe. The government would say it's cruel. The government would say you're putting... This is the equivalent... Sorry, again, I'm trying to get into... This is really difficult for me, actually. This is really, really hard. But the government would say this. They would say it is cruel. Maybe the government would say it. Maybe other people would say... I don't know who'd say it. Maybe someone would say this. They say that is cruel because what you're doing is restricting their freedom. This is like turning into a sort of concentration camp, 1940s Germany style.
Staying in a hotel or staying in military barracks is far nicer than being in a concentration camp. The point I make is, if you're staying in a hotel and you don't leave, it's just like going on an bits to go on these all-inclusive holidays. So they don't even leave the hotel because there's enough to do in the hotel. They've got pools, they've got all sorts.
I would say to you, Mr. Lefty, tonight, is that why don't people like you and the left criticise Greece, that are putting them in tents, that are detaining them, threatening to put them behind bars for 5 years, or mass deporting them? Why is no one calling Greece out on that? Why is no one calling out Germany or Austria that are going to start sending people back to Afghanistan or Syria? Why do we have to be the mugs in this country that have to be the soft ones?
But what the left
again is Keir Starmer is a human rights lawyer. Anyone that believes what he says on this is stupid.
Well, what people would argue is they would say, you're moving the goalposts constantly, Adam. You say, right, we don't want them in hotels, and now you're telling me you don't want them in military guys. Well, the Tories did that, and then... so where does it end, Adam? Where does it end?
Keir Starmer, we don't want them here at all. None of them. They're economic migrants that have come through several safe countries and are taking us, the taxpayer, as mugs. At the end of the day, let's look after our veterans, our own homeless. We cannot feed the world. The world is not our problem.
Well, again, someone would argue, I'm sure, that they're already here, too late. The Tories caused this crisis. They're just dealing with the mess the Tories left them. And actually, they are, oh God, how am I phrasing this? We're a country that believes in international law, Adam. That's what it is, right? What do you say to that? Do you not believe in international law, Adam?
I do believe in international law, but I also believe in our nation as a sovereign state. We look after our own. At the end of the day, this could be solved pretty quickly by declaring a national emergency, saying we're having no more. Other countries have pulled up their drawbridge. Other countries have said no more asylum seekers. Why can't we do that? And that is what the public want to know. Why can everyone else be harsh, but we can't? Why does our left-wing press say that we can't do things? Donald Trump solved this problem overnight. The left-wing press in America said he couldn't. The lawmakers said he couldn't. We can do it. It's just that our political force does not want to do it. They've got no will to solve this.
Well, Chloe, again, someone would say you're just far right. Especially him. He's the furthest right person I've ever met, that bloke there, right? He doesn't speak for anyone. He's a far-right loon, right?
I'm suing you, man.
Yeah, Chloe, someone would say, you're far right. You speak for a small minority of people in the country. Actually, what people want is sensible solutions to this, which Keir Starmer's delivering.
So, first of all, the polls say otherwise. I mean, I don't need to quote them to you. We've all seen the polls.
Show me the polls. Show me the polls.
Reform. So, well, we've had a poll. We've had a poll.
Show me the polls.
We've had a poll with reform, with a bigger percentage of the Labour and Tories combined. So that just goes to show this isn't some kind of fringe opinion. And it shouldn't be a fringe opinion to just think that your country should have a border. I mean, there was a day when that used to be a normal point of view, to say countries should have borders. And as I said before, Alex, we have actually done a lot as a nation to help people, and also, going back in time, impoverishing ourselves to end slavery and then taking refugees from various different places over the years. We've done a lot, but there comes a point when you realise that it is causing big problems for your own nation where you have to put a limit in. I'm not completely against having any refugees, but I think if we're going to have any, first of all, we've got a huge security crisis, not knowing who's coming across, has to be legal routes only, a limited number, and we should take the people who most need our help, which is women and children. I don't want to see another single man coming across this country.
One more
as a
question
refugee.
for you, because while I'm on a roll here, being a fantastic lefty Alex Armstrong
I've gone
tonight.
right off you, man.
No, please watch next week, everybody. So what someone else would say, Adam, is they would say, well, we've just got a new Home Secretary. She's seen as one of the more right-wingers in the Labour Party. Maybe people will argue that there's no such thing as a right-wing person in the Labour Party, but many people would argue that she's the rightest-wing member of the Cabinet. She's been pretty tough on the prison. She came down hard on the Sentencing Council. Should we not give her a chance?
No. At the end of the day, on her first full day, 1,000 have crossed. It's already a failure, and I've seen the videos of things that she said.
But it's not her fault, is it? That's not her fault, right?
I do not believe she is right-wing at all. But we've just done a whole segment on the hotels without mentioning the crime. Now, people need to know that asylum seekers and migrants are disproportionately more likely to commit sex crimes and violent crimes, and that's a fact. So let's just say we need to put our communities first, our women and our children first, and that is why us in Epping are not going away, and we will be there every week until that's shut.
Yeah, and well, I mean, Chloe, people to Adam's argument would say actually it's still a very, very small amount of crimes being committed by illegal migrants. I think some of the data shows that actually they are disproportionately less likely to commit a sex crime than a white British person is. What would you say to that argument?
So, first of all, I would say, one rape is one that we shouldn't have when it's someone who shouldn't have been here in this country. It's a bit of a different matter when it's somebody who has always lived in this country as a citizen. You can't get rid of them. But when it's it's hard to encapsulate the frustration that people are going to feel when they see, oh, my daughter or girl in my community has been raped or sexually assaulted. But it didn't have to happen if we simply had some border control. The other thing I would say is even if people aren't being nicked for something super serious, it is causing a lot of alarm, as I'm sure Adam can confirm, for communities when you've got a bunch of men with nothing to do all day, sitting on street corners, looking at girls inappropriately. Even if they don't commit a sexual assault, that's very unnerving for a lot of girls.
Drunk. They go to the local Tesco's in Epping, they shoplift the drink and they sit on the benches.
You know what, Adam? You're so far right. Just so far right.
as well, we've also seen them...
Is that how this works? Am I doing a good job?
They go into the betting shops and use the money that they're given on their cards to bet. What sort of mugs are we in this country?
Well, look...
Things have got to stop.
We've got to move on, thankfully for me, because I don't know how much longer I could keep that up without internally combusting, frankly. But I hope that was all right for all of you at home. Adam, Chloe, thank you so much for putting up with me, for being a 5-minute lefty there.